Welcome back, folks. Uh, we have Keith Davis again with us today. Welcome, Keith.
What's up?
Um, we are coming off of Truman where I survived for me, and you actually did pretty well. Congrats on
Yeah,
that.
thank you. Yeah, I got the points I really needed, so that worked out.
Nice. And then you also, the weekend after, you did a FX series on there, huh?
Yeah, I have 3 weekends in a row at Truman. So we had the solo series, and then this past weekend I had FX, and then this coming weekend I have a just a smaller club tournament up there, 2-day tournament. So yeah, I'm getting to know Truman a little better. But that
Hold
solo
on a minute.
series, man.
You got what's this club tournament? Are you fishing in it or are you directing it?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's just one I fish in. I've fished with these guys for years, so
Okay.
it's actually the club my grandpa started back in the '80s. It was two clubs merged together a few years ago. Like a lot of the small clubs, they were kind of dying off, and
Yeah.
so to help membership, two of the clubs merged together, and we still don't draw many boats. It's just kind of one of those fun things where you can go out and really, to me, it's just fishing. You go out and just fish, and it's a little more relaxing than say like the solo series or something like
Yeah.
that. But weather's supposed to be a little bit better than what we had. Gosh,
That ain't that no joke. The
I
water's in
still
the
hurt.
bushes right now, ain't it?
It's getting there. Yeah, I thought someone said they were pulling like 6 inches a day. So they were trying to bring it back down, but I think they've got more rain coming this week too, a little bit. So I actually, we had some really good bags at FX this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought we would have seen a couple more bigger bags only because that lake was fairly stable for
Yeah.
that week kind of leading up to it. And but it took 2186 to win, and we had several bags that were between 16 and 19 pounds. Uh, Weighed in a couple 6 pounders, several 5 pounders, a bunch of 4 pounders. So
Yeah.
we saw good fish. We saw good bags. There were, I guess, 40 teams went out. So yeah, we had a good day. We had a really good day.
And when's your next FX?
So my next FX is in 2 weeks up at Mark Twain, April 25th, and then the next one at Truman will be May 9th. So May 9th could be a slugfest too up there. It just depends. A couple years ago, our May tournament, Truman was completely blown out. The water was
Mm-hmm.
up in the parking lot at Shawnee Bend. I mean, it was up, and I, to me, someone who likes to fish woods, I thought that water being up was going to be awesome. I thought we were going to see some mega bags because my first thought is you're going to start flipping and pitching all this, fish would move up.
Yeah.
That was not the case. We went from April, I think it was like 22 pounds to win, and then May when that happened, it was like 13 pounds to win. So it was a crazy drop off.
Dang.
The fishing,
That
the fishing was
sucks.
tough. Yeah, yeah, the fishing was really tough. So I think Mark Twain here in a couple weeks, I wouldn't be surprised to see 3 or 4 bags over 20. I think we're going to see some really good fish up there. Being up north, that lake's a little further behind, and I think
Yeah.
we're going to hit it just right to where the females are moving up, and we're gonna see some bags, I think.
Yeah, 'cause I was watching the weigh-in for the SQs on Palmy, and
Yeah, I did too.
it was a perfect storm. They should have freaking hammered them, but
Yeah, and Randy
again,
said it a bunch of times. Yeah,
yeah, and I mean it took what 17 pounds to win. I'm like, whoa, what
yeah.
the heck? But see, to be fair, last year similar thing happened. We had the Palmy tournament for the top 100. It was in May, and it was like the
Hmm.
4th or the 5th of May or something like that. Now, the week before, it took almost 30 pounds to win.
Yeah.
There was like 28 and 27-pound bags every tournament. We're like, oh, this is gonna be great. We come up there, it took 16 pounds to win. The week
Poppy.
after, the week after, another 29-pound bag. I'm like, how is this? How is this
That's
even
crazy.
possible? Like,
I
please
feel like
explain that.
I feel like Pommy gets a bad rap because of the 13-inch limit. I mean,
Yeah,
you could very easily go down there and catch a Pommy limit, 5 fish
yeah,
for 7 pounds, but there's big fish in Pommy. Like
oh
you
yeah,
can find some big fish in Pommy. So yeah, I was a little surprised by the weights in the SQ. Randy kept saying it during the weigh-in, that he thought, we would see more bigger fish brought in, but I mean,
I mean, you would
there
think
were
so with
still, I
all
mean,
that.
there were a ton of
Oh
limits
yeah,
brought in.
a lot of palmy limits.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, a lot of 5 fish bags, which I mean,
I think
most
the
of
biggest problem with Pond de Terre, and we're going to have the same issue, is it's 7,700 acres. I mean,
yeah,
we're just going to be in
yep,
a circle. So, but
oh
it'll
yeah.
be that's going to be an interesting. I love Pond de Terre, and I think that's going to be a really interesting tournament.
I think I think what practice is going to be compared to what the tournament itself is going to be is going to be two different things
Yeah,
because you're going to have 100 guys out there practicing for 3, 4, 5 days. I don't know, some more, some less. And by the time Sunday rolls around, that place is going to get
yeah,
hammered. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And the caliber of guys we're fishing against are they don't
Exactly.
suck. They
No,
don't suck.
exactly. The big
So
thing there is just going to be, even if it is a Pommy limit, it's still just take the points and run. Get the points and get out of there.
yeah, well, I
But if
mean
you
that's
if
going
you
to
could
be
come if you could come across the right fish here or there, that's going to go a long way. Like 2 weekends ago, I think it was 2 or 3, we had a club tournament there, and
hmm
we had like 15 pounds, but we had one that was over 5. So that definitely helps. The guys that find the 4, 5, 6 pound bass down there, they're going to set themselves apart.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The guy that got second. He had a 7.5 pounder
I know, I
with
saw that. That was
16
crazy.
pounds.
That was
Can you imagine
crazy.
16 pounds? Just think about it. He had 4 fish for 9 pounds.
Yeah,
That, that's
yeah,
that's the part where people don't miss out. It's like great, it's awesome for the 7.5, but the rest of them were babies,
yeah,
and,
yep.
and it's imagine if he just had another 4 pounder.
So
That's
the
all
thing,
like,
like with
oh man,
with with Pond de Terre, you catch a big one, it bolsters you up into second place, like it happened. Was that
yeah.
Hearst?
I
Now
don't
we
know
go
what
to
his name
we
is.
we go to Lake of the Ozarks. You may need 3 of those,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
even be in the mix. So
yeah. 'Cause there's a lot of 3 and 4 pounders in there. A
yeah,
lot in Lake of the
yeah,
Ozarks. So you know, speaking of Lake of the Ozarks, that's where we're going next.
yep.
What do you
May 2nd.
think? What do you think of that one?
Oh, I pretty basic approach to Lake of the Ozarks for me. It's a pretty simple 4-part plan. 1, don't die. 2,
That's
get away
pretty
from it.
important.
Yeah. Number 2, get away from as many people as possible. 3, catch fish. 4, get points. That's it. I
Just survive, basically.
Yeah, survive. I think fish can be caught. I think I'll be able to fish the way I want to fish, and I'll be able to do the things I want to do.
Yeah,
Um, but I also think it's going to take some serious weight to get in the check line. That one, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 26, 27 pounds. I think someone could realistically come up with a mega bag.
I think so, but here's where I would have to disagree with you. I think it's going to take about 19 pounds to win.
You think
Uh,
so?
Yeah, and this is hear me out. It has been getting pounded.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
it's getting just worn out.
And
And
we're going to
then
be there. We're going to be there 2 weeks after the Big Bass Bash.
correct. And not only that, the same weekend as we're going, the AIA is going there. The day after us, right?
Yeah.
Launching
Yep.
out of the same place. Um,
So you're
so
going to
you're
have
gonna
all those
have
guys pre-fishing.
correct, correct. So
Yeah.
if we get, I think it. check is going to be probably 14 pounds, I'd say. The weights will be stacked.
Yeah,
That's Lake of the Ozarks. There's going to be every ounce is going to count big.
I
But
think I think someone will find them. I think someone's going to find a bunch of the right ones. But yeah, it I have some problem. I probably have some unpopular opinions about Lake of the Ozarks that guys wouldn't like. I mean, I love my Lake of the Ozark guys. When I did a winter series there, I did a couple open tournaments there. The guys were awesome, but there are things about Lake of the Ozarks that I don't like. One, I think Ameren screwed up back in the 80s already by not putting size restrictions on the vessels. I
yeah,
think I think a lot of the man-made seawalls are a mistake because it doesn't allow the water to dissipate or to move up on the bank and come back in a natural flow. It just rocks back and forth like a washing machine. The other thing is, I think the Missouri State Highway Patrol Water Division issues way too many regattas. And the one that probably get me killed, crucified, is I think the Big Bass Bash there in the spawn is a terrible thing. I think it's a terrible thing. I think it's so hard on that lake and those fish. Now I say that, and then guys still go out and smash 20 pounds. I get it. Maybe
no,
it's not.
I understand.
Maybe it's not hurting it as much as I think. But when you have
No,
2,000 boats out there, basically bed fishing, it can't be good.
it's
So
not. It ain't good.
there's just a few things about Lake the Ozarks. Because the thing is, I kind of grew up there. My grandparents had a place there. I spent a lot of time there as a kid. And that lake now is nothing like it was back then. You know, Back then you had Party Cove, which would, maybe get a little crazy, and you had a lot of boats out there, but not like it is now. And the big problem with that is by not having the size restrictions.
Yeah.
What's crazy to me is all the Karens complain about the bass boats, having 250s on them. Well, what about these boats that have 5 250s on them, or 5 300s on them? They're yachts. I mean,
Oh
let's
no,
just call it what they are.
yeah, they won't complain about that because they're riding on them.
Yeah, and then you
You
have the
know.
wake boats. You have the wake boats that are disturbing the bottom. And the other problem too is a lot of those boats are owned and driven by people who have no business being on the lake driving a boat. They have those
Yeah.
boats because they have money. That's
Yeah.
why they have them, you know. And they go out there and they just plow water. They don't understand maritime rules and rules of the water. It's dangerous. It's just straight up
Yep.
dangerous. I think it was 3 years ago in the fall, Big Bass Bash. It was Michael Hamilton Jr. I mean, I'm not going to say he almost capsized. I'm not trying to make it super dramatic, but he took on so much water, um, just from these big boats, and then even worse than them is probably the wake boats.
Yeah.
But I mean, can we complain? It's not like we don't own the lake. We don't have the rights to the lake.
That no, that's true,
It's
but I
it's
still
they have
think
every right. They have every right to be out there as we do. But the problem is something was not put in place 30 years ago to prevent this.
yeah, I still think that we should have a size restriction. I don't think we should have ocean boats on lakes.
No,
You
no.
know what I'm saying?
And then when you got people whipping around on jet skis, I mean, that's the stuff that makes me nervous, and I'm usually pretty aware of my surroundings and what's going on
Yeah.
out there. But that makes and kids on tubes, they fly off. They're sitting ducks out there in the middle of the lake. Like that's the stuff that scares me. And but again, they have every right to be out there too. It's just I don't know. It makes me nervous. And every summer you see a headline about someone was killed at Lake of the Ozarks, and I hate to say it, but the first thought
Well,
is, well, I'm not surprised.
I don't know where
You know,
Keith
um,
went.
it's going to happen. It happens every year. Oh, that's good. You just froze up there for a second.
All right, we're good. But
So
yeah, like I think like I said, we shouldn't have them big old ocean boats on our lakes.
and the other problem too, and I've noticed this in tournaments there, there's just so many of them that if they run side by side or three of them lined up, like it's easy to they can force you into trouble in a hurry. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, there's just nowhere to go. But no, I mean, I'm sure the local Lake of the Ozark guys might be offended by what I say. They may say, well, Lake of the Ozarks is for men, you're just a wuss. But I've just seen it too many times, and I know what it was like back in the day when I was there a lot with my grandpa. Uh, I just think it's dangerous. And I think this all could have been prevented. And then the other thing too is now I'm a tournament director, and I'm still saying
Mm-hmm.
there's too many regattas. There's too many. It's like they'll put out 2 tournaments per ramp every day. It's like, man, you just can't do that. But I don't make those rules. But I
I
will say
wonder.
that's one of the reasons why I haven't been back to Lake of the Ozarks. There are just so many tournaments. I really enjoyed the Winter Series, but the problem for me is you get your regatta for a day, and there ends up being 6, 7, 8 more tournaments that day. That really shrinks your field because it divides your anglers up. I have travel expenses, I have lodging. If I go down there and have 12 boats, I'm losing money. Some of those
Yeah.
guys that run tournaments, I know that they live there, so they don't have some of the additional expenses. I have insurance. Um, I'm not calling out names, but I know there's a lot of tournaments being ran that don't have that in place. Um, so there are costs involved to go down there. And I may throw an open tournament here or there, but if I do, it's probably going to be during the summer, and it's probably going to be a night tournament. So,
Yeah. I'd be
but
scared to run Lake
but
of the Ozarks at night.
you you love Lake the Ozarks.
I do.
Tell me about it.
I do. I freaking adore that. The I think for me the biggest thing about Lake of the Ozarks that I love is the variety. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You want to fish deep, you could fish deep. You want to fish shallow, you could fish shallow. You want docks, there's docks. There's wood. There's even
Do
standing
you
timber if you know where to look.
do you think your style of fishing and the way you like to fish, the way you would prefer to fish, does Lake of the Ozarks set up best for you compared to some of the other lakes we go to?
Sorry, I
Because
didn't.
some of the lakes don't have, as many of the docks or things like that. Do you
Yeah,
feel like Lake of the Ozarks just fits your style of fishing better?
yeah. I love dock fishing. I really
Do
do.
you?
Yeah. I like fishing docks and I like fishing bluffs.
Yeah,
And I could combine both of them on Lake of the Ozarks. And I
yeah.
also
I
I mean
I enjoy fishing channel swing bluffs.
do what?
I enjoy fishing like channel swing bluffs.
Yeah.
I'll do that a lot. The
No,
docks,
I
I
just
don't mind. I like fishing docks, but after the 1200th one, I'm just kind of like, okay, let's go do something else.
no. There's a way to break down Lake of the Ozarks that makes it a little easier. And for me, I've learned how to do that. And maybe that's why I like it so much.
Yeah. Well, you said when we talked last time, you said this was the definitely the one you were most excited for on our schedule.
Oh, sorry, you're breaking up on me there. What'd you say?
Just a second. Can you hear me better?
You're breaking up.
Hmm.
I could hear you right now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
I
I
don't know
could
what's
hear you.
going on.
Oh, I could
No,
hear you just great.
you had said that on our schedule, this was the one you were most excited for.
Yeah, it's because it sets up for me how I like to fish with big rods and big baits. You know what I mean? My
Yeah.
shortest rod on my deck is probably going to be a 7.3. I'm not kidding. I'm absolutely not kidding. And you'll see me out there swinging broomsticks, and that's the way I like to fish. I enjoy it. So I told Randy, I'm like, if we ever make it down to like Lake Dardanelle, just don't bother me. Leave me alone. I'm gonna be at home. I also like fishing laydowns and stuff like that. And then, you know, the way I like to fish, you would think that Truman would be the one that sets up for me, right?
Right.
That leg goes against all logic. I don't understand. I can't understand it. That Lake of the Ozarks is a lake I can pattern a lot better and easier, and it's,
I
I don't know. I
I I,
understand it more.
I think Truman. I think when we got there for practice, because you and I had talked,
Yeah.
I think that Thursday we were on the right thing because that went away Friday, but with that storm Friday night,
Mhm.
that whole deal came back with that spinner bait. I mean, with that, and I'll tell you the difference. I think what it was for me, I had to have water coming in. And remember, we were looking for that on Thursday.
Yeah.
You know, if it had water coming in the backs of pockets, you get that spinner bait up there. The I caught all of my fish in one cove, but I caught everything except one on the steeper side. Now that doesn't mean it was deep water, but the bank itself was steeper. So with that rain, as it was coming down, it was gushing into the water a lot harder
Yeah.
than the flatter side of the cove. The flatter side of the cove still had water running in, but it was pretty subtle, you know, just because of obviously it was flatter
Mhm.
ground. Um, so every pocket on that side that was steeper, I caught fish out of. And then I went to the other side and I fished the whole thing. And I made my way through the trees and I fished all that. But I had one keeper on that side, and it was actually the one I ended up culling out. But all the better fish were on that. It had steeper banks, but that water, it was almost creating like waterfalls
Yeah.
coming into the backs of those pockets. And and I think what it was Thursday, they had rain Wednesday and Thursday morning. So when we were out there Thursday, pretty good amount of water was coming into the lake, but then it stopped. On Friday, there wasn't much of that water coming in. It was more of just a trickle. And I'm not saying those fish just up and left, but for whatever reason, they just weren't on that spinner bait Friday for me like I thought they would still be. But when we got that rain Friday night, it's like it turned it back on.
Yeah.
So when I got in there Saturday and I caught the first couple, that's when I made the decision like I'm not leaving because I was confident at that point I could get five out of there.
Yeah. I think my mistake was I fished, like, I started in the dirty water, and literally within the first 30 minutes, I caught one out of a laydown in the back. Like we talked
Hmm.
about, and I was just like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. And then I went into another couple pockets. I didn't catch anything, and then I packed up and went to the clean water,
Hmm.
where I have caught 3 and a 4 pounder, and I'm like, I'm gonna go over there, and I didn't catch anything. I only caught a couple dinks, and then whenever I ran back to the dirty water, I caught another keeper, but it was already late. I didn't have the time, and I should have just stuck
And
with the dirty water and the spinnerbait.
and that was the thing. Like I was in dirty water, but it wasn't the chocolate milk like some of the lakes, some of the areas of the lake
Yeah,
was. And also, you know, the wind wasn't as bad Saturday as it was Thursday and Friday. But the area I was in, I was somewhat protected, but there was just enough wind where it was creating a disturbance on the surface of the water.
yeah,
And so I think that was helping a little bit too. That wind was blowing into those pockets. You had water coming down. It was dirty water. It was just kind of the perfect scenario for those fish to eat. So
yeah. Did you?
that part worked out. Now I feel like I wasted my probably my first 2.5 hours of the day because since I didn't catch fish doing that on Friday, I caught that better one on a crankbait. And I spent my first 2.5 hours, the first two areas I went to throwing a crankbait, and I caught three short fish.
Yeah,
It wasn't until I got back to that cove in the Fairfield area where the water was coming in, I picked up a spinnerbait. And the very first cast is when I caught that 4.8 or whatever it was. And that just kind of told me like this is back on. And I stayed with it. You know, I did stop. I stopped at 2 o'clock to get back closer to Sterrett because I thought my boat was running a little rough. And, you know, I had boat issues all last year with my air compressor.
Yeah.
It turns out it was just I had a fouled up spark plug, so I've gotten that taken care of
Oh,
already.
that's
But
good.
I wanted to I wanted to make sure I was back closer to
Yeah.
Sterrett because I had fish at that point, and I knew I needed the points. And that's actually why I planned on going further down the Pomme de Terre arm, but I didn't want to get further from Osage Bluff because I thought if I had issues, I could at least get myself to the ramp at Osage Bluff if I had to, and not make the run back up to Sterrett or Shawnee or to Sterrett.
Yeah.
But it ran fine. I got back. I fished around Sterrett, kind of at the mouth of the Tebow for a little bit. I caught another short, and then I ended up going in. It was probably 325, 330. I was due in at 340, so I didn't go back really early, but I did get closer to the area. So did you do much running around?
So that was yeah, that was my mistake. I ran where I went. Um, I I like that area, so I'm not gonna announce it, but it was about almost a 20-minute run from Sterrett, and then whenever I fished there, and then I ran back to the cleared water, it was another 25-minute run back. And then I
Hmm.
fished there, and then I said screw it, and I ran back 20 minutes. So like, yeah, I wasted quite a bit of time running around, and then towards the end, I went and picked up Vadim because he caught one, and he needed it for points. So I ran, picked him up, and because he blew a lower unit,
Yeah.
yeah, and it kind of sucked for him. But yeah, I ran
I've
around too much, I think.
I've had tournaments there where I've caught quality fish in Osage Bluffs, and I
Yeah,
know I feel like it's kind of a community
it
hole.
is. Yeah.
I went in there briefly that morning, kind of just to get out of the wind and see what the backs of a couple of those pockets looked like. The one area I wanted to fish, there was someone already there. Um, but I knew with that 40-mile-per-hour wind on Thursday, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Rackers, Jimmy Rackers had put in at Osage Bluff, and he said there were like 30 boats in there, basically just trying to stay out of the wind.
Yeah.
So I knew Osage Bluff was just getting beat to death, but I wasn't too terribly far from there.
Yeah, I had a decent boat number like in the middle, and I want to say about 80% of the guys, because I ran towards Osage Bluff and then I went up towards Clinton, and
Right.
80% of the guys that were in front of me, they kept going. They kept
Hmm.
going down the Palmy Arm. There's oh my God, there's a lot of people that went that way. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Because whenever I turned off and ran up the other way, it was just me. I was the only one
Yeah.
running up there, and I was boat 42. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I was,
Well,
it was
and
pretty good.
that was the crazy thing to me was I was boat 96, and I had one of your brothers in front of me and one of your brothers behind me, but I never had another boater come into that cove where I caught those fish, except one old man who was crappie fishing, and
Yeah,
he stayed just kind of in the middle of the channel hitting those trees. I never saw another one of our tournament competitors in there. And so I
yeah,
thought that was kind of a saving grace for me too, is that I had it to myself and I was able to hit it from a few different angles.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I actually seen a few of our competitors throughout the day, and one of them
did
was
you?
yeah, one of them was Red Hill. So in the clean water, I was like, you know what? I think I'm
Hmm.
in the right area, and no, I wasn't. I mean, I might have been,
Well, yeah,
but I
because
didn't catch nothing.
what Red? I think Red ended up getting third. He
Something
had
like
he
that.
had a good bag.
Yeah.
He had 20.
Yeah, he had like a 7.5 pounder too.
Man, these guys just catch them though. I
Yeah.
mean, think about, have you ever seen a tournament where two guys tie with 23-50? That's insane.
That
That is
is I've
absolutely
never
crazy.
has seen it ever. I
That is
mean,
crazy. And then
that
poor
is
Adam Proctor. This is two tournaments in a row where Adam Proctor tied with someone and then lost the tiebreaker off of big fish. Like, what kind of luck is that, man?
uh,
Jeez.
all right, he got
But man,
second. I
hats
don't know.
off to
I'd be
those dudes.
happy.
Yeah, hats off to those dudes, man. They wrecked them, so that was cool.
Yeah, they did. I mean, good for them. That just speaks to the caliber of guys that we fish against. You
Oh
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, absolutely.
And
I'm still kind of back against the wall. Like I can't mess around. Like I have to get points in each of these last tournaments here. But I guess you kind of heard next year's schedule.
yeah,
Did you hear Randy announce that?
yeah,
Yep.
that
I've so obviously the only goal I really have is to qualify. With me running the freshwater FX, the dates and everything have to work out for me. Like obviously FX for me has to come first because I run it. Um, so if I were to qualify, then the next step is making sure that the dates match up where I can still fish them all. But
yeah.
interesting schedule, man. Took out Palm de Terre, which is probably my favorite lake. Added Bull Shoals, which I've never been to. Um,
You'll love bull shows.
well,
Oh yeah, I love it.
I hope.
I love
I
that. Like
hope.
that's another one of those. I've done well and I've done crappy, but
Yeah.
I've always had a limit on that lake.
Okay.
It's
The
another one of
the
those
rest
that'll
of it,
scatter us.
I will say the kickoff being at Lake of the Ozarks. I think
I'm
I prefer
excited for
that.
that one.
I think I prefer that over the one we had at Truman this year.
100%.
So yeah,
100%. The only one
Stock,
I'm.
Stockton, Stockton in March is going to be interesting.
It's basically a mini version of Table Rock
Yeah,
without the moss. But
yeah,
what's it called? I am excited for the one at Lake of the Ozarks that we're going to in November, and then we're also
yeah,
going back to Drake Harbor in the
yeah,
last
yeah,
one. Which that one, the only thing that's gonna suck is parking.
yeah.
Parking is
I'm
gonna be
I'm excited.
miserable
I'm
for that
excited
one.
for that one too. I'm excited for that one because I've never fished up that far, and to me, just by looking at it and looking at it on the maps and everything, to me, it almost seems like it's more like true river fishing. So I'm kind of excited for that one.
It is. It's river fishing 101.
Yeah,
It's
I'm excited for that
and
one.
if you like lake fishing, you take about a 45 to 50-minute run and you're in the Niangua.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it doesn't take you very long to get to the areas. Like Proctor's like what, 35 minutes? You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yep.
if you want to go fish
But
like lake, you could.
yeah, first things first though. I can't get ahead of myself, man. I got to qualify, so
What?
I got to
How
keep
many
getting
points
points.
you
I
got?
I got really good points at Truman. I think I ended up getting 88 points there, and then I had 30 something at 20 or 30 something at Truman from the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at 100 and something.
Okay. Well, you need about 60 more points.
You figured it up?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 156 to be exact.
156?
To be exact. Yep.
That's what it's going to take?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. So like you're this one really helped. And if you could just top 30 for the rest of the season, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Not even top 30, like top 40, because you got to remember that some of the guys that top 30 this time they're gonna drop back. There's gonna be guys that do poorly the next one. It's just like it
Yeah.
flip flops so much. It's crazy. Like you'll have you'll have a guy that freaking wins a tournament one time. Next one he doesn't even bring in a limit, and
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
how does this even work
Yeah.
out this way? But yeah,
Man, I mean, that Truman tournament was a throwaway tournament for a lot of guys I saw,
the first one or the
which
second
is
one?
the second one,
Mm.
the one we just had.
I wish I could have thrown it away, but too late. I threw away the first one.
Yeah. Well, I had to throw away Table Rock, so I said, man, I don't have a choice. I just got to go catch them.
Yeah, Table Rock, we're gonna have to get together and fish. That one,
Yeah,
you'll like that one.
I would love to see more of Table Rock. I
Hey,
uh I kind of wish I knew where our championship was. Like again, I have to qualify first. Don't
yeah,
get me wrong. I'm not, but
I
I
think you
would.
will.
I'm curious. I'm curious. I am curious where it's going to be.
I
Like
don't know.
my whole thought was, Bull Shoals because that's not on our schedule this year. So I thought, well, are we going to end up there or somewhere like Grand or I don't know, but it
I,
was more just curiosity.
you know, what I was guessing. This is just my guess. I think we'll be on Stockton.
You think so?
I kind of have a feeling. Kind of have a feeling we might end up on Stockton, which is fine.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, as long as we're not
I
on
really, I
Truman.
really like, I really like Stockton. I'm just not going to have any practice time for it because I'm coming straight from an FX tournament. So I got to find
Mm,
a place that night to, like Saturday night when I get down there. Basically, I'm going to find a place to plug my boat in and probably sleep in my truck and go out and see what happens. But I
yeah.
do like Stockton, and I've had some decent tournaments at Stockton.
The other one that might happen. Again, this is just going off of feeling. You know. Okay. Not only feeling. I'm going off of probabilities of how he's scheduled. So last year, before we fished our championship, we already knew the
Hmm.
schedule for this year, and we knew there's two Trumans, right?
Hmm.
What's two of next year?
Like the Ozarks, we got the kickoff and Drake Harbor.
I'm just saying.
So
I'm just saying. We might be in. I
we
hope it
might be
ain't.
at,
I hope it's not PB2. I really hope it won't be PB2. Screw that.
yeah, I hope not too.
Hopefully it's either like Shawnee or like Drake. Ooh, Drake would be pretty cool in September. Ooh,
Yeah,
it'd be interesting. Interesting to say the least.
yeah,
But who knows? Who know? I don't know. He told me. So me and Randy were like talking. I'm like, Randy, what if we do like different food trucks and all this vendors and stuff at the championship? He's like, oh yeah, yeah, that'd be a great idea. I'm like, all right. So do you want me to get? Because I know some people that have food trucks. I'm like,
right.
do you want me to get a hold of you? He's like, yeah, that'd be great. I'm like, I need to know where we're going. I'm like, I need to know where we're going because I can't schedule if they don't know where to go. He's like, he's like, I can't tell you that. I'm like, well, I guess we're just gonna have to wait till. So I called a couple of the food trucks, and I told them to stand by. Just put in the dates and stand by until the end of June, because that's when we'll know.
Yeah.
We'll
Make
know.
sure they have sun drop.
Yeah.
God's water.
Yes, sir. Good stuff. I like it, but I was gonna go get me some here in a second. But yeah,
Heck yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where we're going. I wish I did. I wish I did. But then, see, that would be everybody else is wishing for the same thing, you know? That way we could
Right.
actually get familiar with the areas and stuff, which I think that's the whole reason why we can't know.
Right.
It kind of levels the playing field a little bit. But I think, like in my guesstimations, it's either Stockton or LOZ. I really hope it's LOZ. I would do it if we could go there.
So, but
Oh my gosh! In September, I've caught some fish.
I just need 156 points before then.
Yeah, and you're already over
Let's
a
go.
hundred, I think.
Let's go. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm at like 130 something, and then
What
David
were your what was your finish at Table Rock?
10th.
That's right. What was your finish at Truman? The second one.
I don't even know. I was so mad. I think like 50 something.
But I was going to say you were still in the top 70 though, weren't for that one.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I
your
was.
first Truman was your throwaway, right?
It was 0. Yep. So I just need to finish in the top 70 for the rest of the year, and I'll be all right.
Yeah, because I was 62. I got 62nd at Truman and then 13th at Truman. So explain that one,
Hold
but
on,
whatever.
come back again. You was what
I was 62nd
on
at
the
the
first?
first Truman,
Okay.
and then I was 13th at this Truman. Table Rock was my throwaway.
So yeah,
So a
you're
13th
sitting
and a
pretty
16th.
good.
Yeah,
Because I had a
I
so
think
my first one was a throwaway. Table Rock I got 10th, and this one I think I was like 54, 57, somewhere in there.
right now I'm 60th in points.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
So I'm in there now, I guess.
As long as you don't drop.
Right, right. Yeah,
So yeah, that's the good. Are you? I did have a question for you about the freshwater FX. Are you planning
yeah.
to grow it, or are you just gonna be keep it like a club level?
Um, we have had more sponsorship opportunities. We've had some new sponsors come on even just this year.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that comes in that like goes back to the anglers. Like if it's money, if it's product or whatever, that goes everything goes back to on one of the banners it says anglers first always.
Yeah.
So if if you're going to be a tournament for the anglers, be about it. Stand up to that. So everything we do, that's why it's an 80% payback, but 10% goes toward the championship. So essentially, that's a 90% payback. The championship is 100% payback. So
Mm-hmm.
when I go to the championship, whatever my expenses are, like I know I'm losing money and I'm okay with that. Like I wanted to go back to the anglers. Strike Force Fishing just came on with product. Hatfield Rods is doing custom rods. Dave's Pizza and Wings, Chris Dickherber, he's putting up the money for the points champions at Truman. We've just got a lot of people that have kind of come on board. They, hopefully like what we're doing. They like what we're about. I use some of the money that does come in to put on the free entry youth tournament. That's a really big draw in my back in the town I grew up in. So we have fun with that. I as far as like actually growing and expanding and going to other lakes and things like that, I'll be honest, I don't see it happening. I wouldn't mind picking a lake every year and doing an open tournament,
Yeah.
maybe going to a different lake. The problem is when you fish as much as I do and I have 5 tournaments at Truman, I have 5 tournaments at Mark Twain, plus I have 4 crappie tournaments this year at Mark Twain. Plus I run the Everland's Customer Appreciation Tournament. What happens is you just run out of weekends,
Yeah.
and I have people that help me. I have one of my good friends helps me at Truman. He helps me with the weigh-in and setup and everything, and then my cousin helps me at Mark Twain this year. So, um, but other than that, I mean, we just kind of do everything ourselves. I don't have a big team of people doing this. And the thing is too, if you were to do multiple divisions, that's more pro tournament scales you're picking up. That's more this, that, and whatever, trailers or setups or whatever. I'm running everything out of an RV now, a camper with the awning. I had the whole railing system and the towers welded at a local company here. All of that costs money to give the anglers the experience that we can give them with the leaderboard, the TVs, the sound system, playing music and trying to generate excitement with what we're doing. And it's going to be hard to duplicate that, to put that kind of money into another setup for somebody else to go run an FX tournament at another lake. And the other thing is, and I don't want this to sound like it's it's a power move or it's a control issue, but I run the website. I keep track of all the stats and do all that. I have a hard time letting someone else go take the name to another lake and run it without me being there.
Oh no,
Like
that's perfectly
everything we do,
understandable.
I have a hand in it, and
Yeah.
I want it presented a certain way.
Yeah.
And when we even post on Facebook, that is all by design. The things that go on the website is all by design. There's a consistency to it that anglers can start to relate to. They know what to expect. We get a new sponsor, hey, that's an extra perk, so we're going to throw that out there. But they know what they're getting now with Freshwater FX. And I do think we could go to another lake and possibly do well as the social media side grows and people see what we do. Um, like we had the tournament Saturday. By Saturday evening, I had the results out, I had the write up out, I had photos, I had everything posted on Facebook, so people weren't waiting. You know, they drive home from the lake, they can pull up Facebook and they see their pictures and they see the results and see where they finished and everything like that. So we try to do everything quickly,
Yeah.
get the information to the anglers. Our weigh-ins, we try to be efficient and quick. Especially when you got those summer tournaments and you know what it's like when you're out there fishing and it's 100 degrees and maybe you had a tough day. Do you really want to go stand in a parking lot for an hour and a half, waiting for a weigh-in? So we try to get the anglers through quickly. I may make them listen to the Grateful Dead the entire time, but so be it. They'll get over that. But we uh we have fun with it,
Yeah.
and so like I said, I told on myself. I said it wasn't a control issue. 100% maybe it is a control issue.
No,
I
it's nobody is gonna care about it as much as you are.
yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't
and
matter.
that's
It doesn't matter how much. Uh, I know this from just me running a business. You know what I mean? Like you could hire the best managers on earth, but they're not gonna run the company with heart like you are.
yes.
So
That's
that's perfectly
the
understandable. That's what I told Randy. I'm like, you better never, ever, 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 ever leave.
right,
Never, because like
right.
if he leaves, I don't think there's anybody that'll run it with that heart he does. You know what I
No,
mean?
no,
And
no, and I completely agree.
I'm not trying to take it away from like other tournament directors that are doing a great job, but that's not theirs.
No, and every tournament director has, their hands all over their trail or their series.
Correct.
And there's a lot of good ones out there, a lot of really good ones out there.
Yeah.
I think the Terrells do a fantastic job. What they've done with Anglers in Action, they are incredible, for the Midwest here. But there's a lot of smaller trails too. Like I follow Kyle and what he does with Heartland Trails. Bringing that trail back, like that's awesome, and they're doing a great job with it. Um, I I just Freshwater FX started. It was just a random thought I had standing in line one day at a weigh-in. I told myself I'm going to do this. That's how it started. It wasn't somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I want you to. I think you should run a fishing series." I was standing in line with my fish, and I told myself, "I'm going to do this." And then so from that point forward, everything that went into it. Now, don't get me wrong. I had people. I had people that I bounced ideas off of. A good friend of mine helped me set up the pay schedule. Um, there was other people involved whose opinions I appreciate and trust and to kind of move it in the direction it has gone. But to have somebody load up all my stuff and take it to another lake without me being there, I don't know that I could do that. Maybe that's a character flaw on my end. But no,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, let's uh let's meet up at Lake of the Ozarks, man.
Oh no, that's like I said, it's not a
Yep.
character flaw. That's a normal. It's your baby.
Yeah. Right on. Right
You
on.
know what I mean? It really is. But yeah, um,
Yep. Always good talking to you, man. I really appreciate you having me on. So
awesome, awesome, and I
sounds
appreciate you
good.
coming on again. I gotta run because I gotta
Truman will
go
be May 9th.
deliver this load. But
Yep.
yeah, it was
Yep.
awesome
Yep.
catching up
Let's
with
do it.
you again, and
All right. See you, man.
we'll we'll see you at Lake of the Ozarks then. When's your next FX on Truman? No, May 9th, so that's after. Or maybe I'll see you there too. We'll see. All right, we'll see you. Hold on, should be stopping. Maybe. I don't freaking know this thing. It's still recording, I guess.